So I was thinking about the weird off season that you guys must have had. I mean, we just finished. It was just, it feels like it was a month ago. It was 3 or 4, but how do you work that? This is the first time you've had to deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, definitely being the first time we ever had to, and I hope we don't ever have to again, for sure. But I think the main thing that I can say is how unbelievably persistent our guys are. They just roll with the punches. Nothing phases them, and they know it's going to be changing from day to day. So I don't think we're going to see that big of a difference. I think we have such great leadership with our guys, and it's definitely a player-led team that they are just going to hit the ground running. I don't think we're going to have to back up and reteach a whole bunch of things, even though we're going to start at the start. But I think that you will see a very poised and a very experienced team whenever they are actually able to hit the field. We only had 3 weeks of off season, so that was way different. But I think we crammed a lot into those 3 weeks. I think they will tell you that it was. They'll remember that one for a long time.
A lot of the guys came back that could. They were supposed to be seniors last year, and it was supposed to be their last year, and you're getting them for another year. Talk about the advantages of having so many guys back that are have been here for an extended period of time.
I think that you'll see a lot of advantages, obviously, on the field with the positions they play and the performances they've had. But I think more so you're going to see it with how we are able to expand and build on our culture, because they understand what the expectations are. They understand the standards around here, and they're going to be able to teach all those other guys and bring them up to speed faster than we ever have been able to before. The one thing that we are putting a lot of emphasis on is, those plays that you made in the past, they were in the past, and you haven't done anything this year. So it's really starting with a clean slate, and I think they're going to take that challenge, and they're definitely going to rise up and overcome all those obstacles in the way.
All right, I got it.
Kind of going off that, how do you balance having guys back for another year with a recruiting class that's come in? I feel like you probably have a lot of guys that you're trying to see what they can do. How do you kind of approach that going into fall camp?
I think one of the main things that we're going to do is, even early on, is we're going to have separate practices for our returners and our newcomers, at least to lay the foundation for the first couple of days, and then hopefully give those new guys some extra attention so that their head's not swimming whenever we throw them into the fire. And so that's one of the things we're doing. The other thing, like I said, is such a player-led team that our older guys, they're going to take that mantle and run with it. They're taking a lot of pride. I actually had some guys ask today, hey, can we stay and help the newcomers during the meeting? And absolutely. So whenever you have something like that, that's special. That doesn't happen a lot of places. So I think that's going to help to kind of fill that gap between the two groups. But it's a very talented group as well.
I know you probably won't know it until you start playing some games, but even with that little bit of off-season time, how would you compare kind of what you're able to do in the off-season with a usual spring versus a 5-game spring that you had?
That's going to be the interesting thing throughout this season. I think that the way our guys handled it, I don't think we're going to see an abundance of injuries or anything like that. I'm not sure about the other teams that played a full season and finished. Sam Houston finished in May. And now they're going to turn right around and try to do that again. I think it's going to be hard on those guys' bodies, because the body's not designed to play 2 football seasons in a year. So playing the 5 games, doing the things that we had to do, but then the way that our guys have attacked their strength and conditioning throughout the summer, I think we're going to see an increase, and I think we're going to see a drastic improvement.
And then just with this group, you saw a little bit of what this core can do in the spring, and you bring most of that back. What's the emphasis as you look to this season, and obviously, going for that conference championship and the Mary Hardin-Baylor hurdle that's always there?
I think the biggest thing that you'll see, and probably to a man, every coach, every support staff, every player, every trainer, is take the next step. Do whatever we have to do in order to do exactly what you said. And if we're not winning a championship, then that's not taking the next step. We've been on the right there on the doorstep for too long, and we're tired of knocking. We've got to do the things that we need to do in order to kick that thing in and go get the job done. And so I think that's going to be the emphasis, is those little, minute, tiny things that nobody sees, is being an expert at those things so that we can take that next step. It's very easy to say. Every team's going to say that, but it's really tough to do. And I think our guys, again, it sounds like I'm saying it a lot, but they're going to rise to that, rise to the occasion, and they're going to meet that challenge head on.
Counting the spring as a season, this will be the first time in a long time you have the same game one starting quarterback in back-to-back seasons. Is that something that I know Kyle played, spring of 19 or fall of 19, but to have that carryover of that day one guy coming in and kind of being that guy from the jump.
I think the way that we see it is kind of Coach Whitehead kind of said it today. Hey, he's got the keys to the Lamborghini. He's got them. And now it's going to be his to go drive and do it the right way. And so he understands that. He prepares, as good or better than any quarterback we've ever had. So having the same starter back to back, I don't know how that'll be. We never had it before, so it's going to be a welcome addition. I can promise you that.
And then just that defensive side of the ball, just what are those keys? I know you one of the players that you lose in Strambler is a big piece, but just kind of what do you see from that side with the guys you have coming back and the maybe couple holes you have to fill?
I think the two things that I kind of, whenever I think of our defense, I think of number one, experience. I mean, those guys have played a ton of football, a ton of snaps in important games, and played at a high level. So that experience. And then the other thing I think of is anger. I mean, they play angry. They're going to run to the ball and they're going to be in a bad mood when they get there, and that's what it takes to play defense. And so combining those two things, because sometimes just because you have experience, it's not good experience. But we have great experience, and I know those guys, again, they're not going to be satisfied with anything less than being the absolute best unit in the country.
And then you kind of mentioned the little bit of normalcy, but to step out on that field in August to prepare for a season that starts in September again, just how nice is it to kind of feel that a little bit with camp, with moving day, check in, and getting the ball rolling?
Honestly, it's as exciting a time as I've had in my career. Doing it in January when it was 21 degrees the first day, it was a little different. It was still near perfect for us, but it was a little different. So getting back out there and doing it when you're supposed to be doing it, we're ready for it. I think that the coaching staff, we've had a great time to prepare. But once our guys got here and getting to see them and the excitement and on their faces, it made it. We just can't wait to get back out there tomorrow.
I think maybe the only position group Jordan didn't touch on was the O-line, which is your baby. What's it like to have the experience you have on that offensive line?
Man, that group is special. They are a very unique group of guys that have also played a ton of football. They played a lot of snaps for us and played at a high level as well. And so I'm a huge believer that you're going to win and lose in the trenches. And I think that our team is going to resemble that, very much so on the O&D line. And so those offensive linemen, they take pride in everything they do. And so it's a fun group to coach, but they also know that ultimately they have to perform, and they got to perform at an extremely high level. And if they'll do that, then we're going to be pretty dang good. And if they don't do that, we have no chance for success. And so they know that, and they see it again as a challenge, and they're going to do all the little things each and every day to put themselves in a position to be able to help this team in any way they can.
As you said, you've gotten to the cusp over and over. Have you ever thought of what else can we do to get past Mary Hardin-Baylor?
I think of it every day. I mean, it's as a coach, if you're competitive, you're probably going to be pretty good. If you're highly competitive, then you want to be great and you want to be elite. And so every day, I don't just think about beating one team, though. I think about what can I do as a coach to put these guys in the position to do the things they want to do. But more importantly is how do we do this as a program, taking the next step on the field, off the field, in our everyday lives to make this more than just what they're doing in football. These lessons and the things that they're learning day in and day out, how can they take this and use it for the next 40 years of their life? And that's the goal. And so, yeah, every day we're thinking about that. How can we improve? How can we make them better?
I do remember, I think 3 years ago, after one of the UMHB games. A reporter asked you about momentum, and you like stopped him right there and said, "I don't believe in momentum." And whenever a coach tells me about momentum, I think about that. Can you explain why you don't believe in momentum?
Because I think it's such a fleeting thing. I think that poor teams, if they have momentum, they play pretty good, and if they don't have momentum, they play pretty bad. Well, create your own momentum. You know, that's what I believe in. I don't think that there's ever a situation where you can't make a play to change the tide of the game. And so I think momentum is one of those things that people kind of depend on way too much. I believe we got to create ours. We have to create that and control the tempo of the game and do the things we want to do. And so that's just my viewpoint. Probably a little different than other people, but I think that if we'll focus on us and focus on creating our own, then we'll always have it.
Good.
All good.
Thank you, Coach.
All right. Thanks, guys.